Hello. Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Carmichael here. The other day I recorded a video for Mr. B of Mr. and Mrs. B's Brain Dump. That was the awesome challenge to try and vlog for 10 whole minutes without saying anything negative, everything positive. Quite a challenge, because I'm such a miserable sod. And after doing that vlog, I've spent a lot of time talking about what I was doing that day, which was interviewing. And after I did the vlog, I've had a few comments. Well, I think one comment and a couple of private messages asking me about what I look for when I'm interviewing. So I thought, rather than try and answer them with a response, I'll answer them with a vlog. It gives me something to talk about, if nothing else. No, I'm not particularly experienced interviewing, but there's certain things that I do look for, and there's certain ways that I approach it. I'm not saying that this applies to any interview, because the interviewing that I do is reasonably specialised. We're looking for people with a particular set of skills, but I'm guessing a lot of what we do will apply to pretty much any job. So what we're interviewing for, particularly at the minute, is software developers, and obviously that's it's a particular set of skills and a particular way of thinking that you're looking for. But some of it probably applies to everything. So tell you how I go about interviews. We've been doing 2 interviews for the job. So the first interview is a hello. We have about 15 minutes just to say hello and introduce ourselves and get drinks and all that kind of stuff. And then we start by saying, what do you know about the company? And what do you know about the role? Now, I don't really care what people know about the company. They need to know roughly what it is we do, but if you don't know that, then you really haven't done any research at all. We've had some people who've clearly done the research, and they will recite the information off our website to us, so who started the company, when it started, all that kind of stuff. And if I'm honest, for me personally, it's almost entirely irrelevant. But what I want them to know about is the role, because I think we're quite clear in stating what the role is, but only to people who understand what the role is. So we are advertising for a software developer to work in an agile team using Scrum, and the technologies SQL Server and C# and a few other bits and pieces. Now, if you're not into development, you probably don't know what any of that means. But if you are, then all of that should mean something to you, and you can actually extrapolate a lot of information from it. Now, if the candidate hasn't done that, if they haven't understood what the role is, that'll become apparent really quickly, and that is a big mark against you, because it's shown that you're not necessarily interested in what we are doing. Maybe you just want to get out of your previous job, and if that's the case, you might be using us as a stopgap, and we don't want that. We want somebody who's going to hang around for a while. And that might be unfair, but I have a little policy in interviewing that if I have any doubt, then you're not getting the job. And that sounds harsh. The problem is that in the past, I have employed people when I've had doubts, and it's never worked. It's always ended up badly. So there's the first thing. So you look at that job, you should know C# and SQL. Those are the 2 technical skills you need. If you don't have them, then why did you show up? And we also say we're an agile team using Scrum. Now, that's a particular way of working, and we've had quite a few people turn up who haven't done Agile or Scrum before. That's okay. but they don't know what Agile or Scrum is, and that means that really you just haven't understood the position. So in that first 15 minutes, you might have almost discounted yourself already. We then go on to talk about the person's CV, relevant experience, just general chat, and all we're doing there is not necessarily caring about what the person's done, although if they say something that's particularly off, then that will make a difference. But it's more just getting to know them, understanding, how they approach problems, maybe understanding how they talk about the job. Are they positive about what they've been doing? Are they excited about what they're doing? Is it just a job to them, or is it a passion? All those kind of things. And that's kind of the first half of the first interview. And then we've moved into the second half of the first interview, which is a technical assessment. And in that one, I'm firing questions at people, and they're technical. Some of them have right answers, some of them have wrong answers, some of them don't have a right or wrong answer, and it's an understanding of how that person thinks about the question. Some of them are just, do you know that this technology exists? And again, they're all linked in with, get the thing started, they're all linked in with the way that we work and the technologies we're using. And a lot of it actually is about how do you cope under pressure, because I'm really going to fire these questions at you. And that might sound harsh, but again, when you get the job for real, you're going to get that from directors and customers and all sorts of things, suppliers, all that kind of stuff. So you have to be able to deal with that. If you can't work under pressure, then you're not going to fit in. Now, assuming they get through that, and so far we've had a few people who have. We've had two who've come back from a second interview. One of them we've employed, and one of them were potentially one other that we're potentially going to invite back for a second interview. So assuming you get through that, you then get to ask any questions you want to ask, and then that's it. And if you pass the test, you come back for a second interview. When I say about pass the test, nobody so far has even got half of the questions right. But that's okay, because it's questions about all of the technologies that we use, and we're expecting that anybody we employ is going to need quite a bit of training and is going to need quite a lot of handover and things like that to actually get up to speed. So we're not actually looking for somebody who has all the skills. It's more important to us that we get somebody who will fit in, and that's where the second interview comes in. So second interview seems very technical. We get people in, we give them a problem to discuss as if they're consulting on an issue and on a piece of software that will need developing. We then get them to sit with the rest of the team and whiteboard it out so they can actually design it with the team, because they're not going to be working alone, so what's the point in pretending for the sake of an interview that they will be. And then we get them for a couple of hours to actually do some coding and produce something. And it almost doesn't matter what they produce, because the second exercise is about seeing if they'll fit. So if we like the person and they like us, that's a fit. If they don't like us, if they don't like the way we worked for that afternoon, that gives them every opportunity to not take the job if we offer it them. If we didn't like them, we didn't think they'd fit, whatever it might be, then they wouldn't get an offer on the basis of that either. And really that's just about people being themselves and fitting. Some people are absolutely perfectly good developers, they're nice people, but if they don't fit, then the team isn't going to be happy with them, and they're not going to be happy with the team. And in the end, we're going to end up with somebody who doesn't hang around and just costs us a lot of money, and it makes their life miserable for the 6 months that they hang around until they think they've been there long enough that they can get away with applying for another job. So if I was giving people tips on how to approach the interviews that I'm giving, they're pretty simple really. I don't care how much you know about the company. My boss might do, so a little bit of understanding, you know, what sector we're in, what we do is useful, but you don't need to memorise the website. Understanding the role is essential, and you will be quizzed about the role, either directly or indirectly. So if you are going for a job with us for an agile developer using Scrum, at least understand what Scrum is and what agile is, because if you don't, then you know, even if you haven't done it before, that's not a problem, but if you don't understand what it is, that just shows us that you're probably interested in earning some money and not necessarily be interested in the job itself or the technologies. Be smart, don't turn up in jeans and a t-shirt. You would be surprised. Make sure you know your stuff. Obviously it's a technical job in our case, so make sure you know the technologies. And most importantly is be yourself, because if you're not, if you pretend to be something you're not, it's a little bit like vlogging, isn't it? If you pretend to be something you're not, in the end you're going to get found out. And if you've set yourself up with a fake persona and you don't fit in the team, then you're not going to have a happy time, and you're going to make the rest of the team unhappy. And where we are, we enjoy the work, we enjoy what we do. We have to spend 3 or 4 hours a day learning more and more about the technologies. If you don't enjoy it, if you're not passionate about it, you're in the wrong role. And the last thing that anybody would want on the team is somebody who doesn't enjoy it and therefore doesn't pull the weight or is distracted. And the last thing that a potential an interviewee would want, I think, is to take a job where we haven't been truthful and they don't fit in and they're just as fed up as they were in the job that they're trying to leave. So, but that's it, you know. We don't care about particularly going back through qualifications if you've got experience. Experience is far better than qualifications. We want somebody who is honest, open, friendly, aware what the job is, and technically capable of doing it, and that will fit in with the other guys. So I've probably rambled and repeated myself quite a lot there, but I was asked a question, so I thought I'd give you an answer, and that's essentially it. Can't think of any other tips really. One thing, enthusiasm. We had one guy and he did pretty poorly on the technical test, but he was so enthusiastic. So he was the only one who said at the end, would you mind if I took a copy of the questions away with me, because those things we've talked about that I don't know, I want to learn. And that enthusiasm goes a long way. That tells me here is somebody who will happily spend his own time learning things and improving himself. So enthusiasm, that's the other thing. I think that's about it. Can't think of anything else. So thanks for watching. Ride safe, and I shall talk to you all again soon.